Right, come on, let's do some practicing. Repeat after me. Now you go. Okay, try this one. It's recorded. That's going in the pod. That is going in the pod. If you don't have severe imposter syndrome every 18 months, you're not moving forward.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Okay, I'm in a room full of sickos. How can I take as much from these guys without being a complete and utter weirdo? We got on a video call with Ryan Tuckwood and he swished the fuck out of us and we've gone, just take our money.
Yeah, best thing he ever did though, to be fair. Walking in there, watch your sales process, got none. Watch your sales structure, got none.
He's like, you two haven't got a business.
I'm not saying you weren't interested in self-development, but I never saw you pick up a book before we started Harvey.
No, I'd pick up a pint. I think that was my problem.
And a chick. I think if you're so desperate to not lose, you won't really win.
Tucky caught us when we were pissed and got us to agree to speaking on stage in front of 1,000 people.
The full day leading up to it, I was shitting myself as well. Half a day, half an hour has potentially got us 5 new clients now. You go, well, isn't half an hour of embarrassment worth whatever the dollar generated is?
And the lads are back. Another episode on the couches. I've got my smart clothes on today. This one's got to be good.
Man, I think that's got the way we've got to start every single pod in the world. That click was clean.
But yeah, that is proper nice. I actually quite like these episodes, mate, while we're on our own.
And if we're talking about what we're wearing, don't show his t-shirt down halfway, covered in fucking spag bowl.
Mate, this guy on his carnivore meal plan, this carnivore with the most carbs I've ever seen, and he's throwing bolognese down himself at lunch.
It's called balance, mate.
You wouldn't believe he builds the high-level construction teams for most of the high-rises you see going up on the Gold Coast.
It's called being authentic, mate. If they're covered in spag bowl, I've got to be covered in spag bowl too. We're relatable.
Mate, you're an absolute idiot.
That's what we're talking about today. Let's talk about spending all your money before you've got it. The 6-figure learning curve. Now, this feels real smart and intelligent and like, oh, what a risk they took and it paid off. But fuck me, it wasn't.
It was all pot luck, to be honest, wasn't it?
Pretty much. Like, imagine this. Imagine if it didn't. Imagine if the training was shit or we just couldn't make it happen. And then we had a podcast talking about how fucking we had a business for 2 months and then it went tits up because you spent 20 grand on training before we even made any money.
First episode and last episode all in one. How to bust a business.
What's the context, mate? Give the story. What are we talking about?
Yeah, so we were quite honest. And I know we spoke about this quite a lot, that when we launched Harwell, like, we had 0 business experience. We were doing it a lot earlier than what a lot of people did. You know, most people go through the hierarchy as such in a big global recruitment agency. Like even Renee in our team, you know, when she finished up at her role as a estate manager, her job was in the P&L every day, you know, talking figures with the directors. We had none of that. It was literally like, what are your KPIs this week? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, but I've got 50K on the board. So we had no business experience and we just thought, fuck, if we don't go and learn as much as possible and train ourselves, this could be over before it's even started. We
were lucky that we started really well. We had momentum, which I think was important early doors. You had some clients come on board, which is good. You filled a few jobs, you had money coming through the door. I'd love to sit down and speak to those 2 whoppers and go, why did you decide to spend 20 grand when you've just made your first bit of money? Why wouldn't you just hold on to it? Like, why would you?
Did you just refer to yourself as a whopper?
Whopper 1 and Whopper 2.
What are we talking about?
But what was it in us that decided to go, yeah, let's just go and spend 20 grand on a 3-day or 2-day sales immersion course where we're going to put a new sales structure in place? Like, why didn't we just hold on to that? Why don't we go to Bali? Why don't we, you know, buy you a wig or something?
Mate, I think there's 2 answers to this. I think the sensible answer is that we knew we needed to upskill ourselves. I think the real answer is we got on a video call with Ryan Tuckwood and he swished the fuck out of us and he's done it and we've gone, all right, yeah, just take our money.
Yeah, best thing he ever did though, to be fair. Like, walking in there, watch your sales process, got none. Watch your sales structure, got none. What's your follow-up strategy, got none. Like, we walked out of there with half a business, to be fair, and half an idea of, okay, now we know how to speak to clients, we know when to speak to clients, but this is actually the the frequency of it, the tonality to use.
I remember, mate, when we walked into that immersion, like nervous as, because there's like some really good other business owners on there, and we're like saying, oh yeah, we're a month in now. And Tucky goes, so what's your sales process? And you've gone, oh, well, pretty simple, really. Like, we call people, we get jobs on, and then we call more people and fill the jobs. And that's that. And he's like, yeah, but what's your process? You're like, well, that's pretty much it. And he's like, you two haven't got a business.
Yeah, we kind of did. It was pure energy, right? Pure passion energy, which is half the battle. Like, I think that's why Tucky has been so good to us, especially in those early stages, because he knew we were coachable, moldable. We wanted to learn, and that we'd do the work to get better at it as well, which a lot of people don't. You know, they say they want to do it, but they don't back themselves. They don't pay 20 grand before they paid themselves to go on a course, right? So I think we get more out of Tucky than other people might do, because you can see that in us. And I think what that sales immersion gave us was something to measure ourselves against of whether we're doing well or not. Whereas before it was how many calls you make today, how many jobs on did you get? If you didn't get a job on, you had a shit day. If you got 2 on, you had a good day, even though that might have been 2 calls for 2 jobs. And the day before you did 50 for no jobs. Yeah,
it was definitely a game changer for us. I was trying to think back when, obviously we invested quite heavily when we started the business. Was there anything we did? I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of someone who might be listening to this. They haven't started their business yet. You know, it's still a pipeline idea. Did we reach out to anyone or speak to anyone in terms of like trying to upskill our knowledge before we launched to kind of get the process going?
So when we decided we're going to start the business?
Yeah, not in the sense of, obviously we spoke to a lot of people to ask their advice, I guess. But was there any real structure where we went, shit, we need to start learning this stuff now?
I don't think there was. I don't think now it's easy to say, oh yeah, obviously you do Swish, obviously you do that, because it's a lot more well known within our little pocket of recruiters anyway, thanks to Ex-Recruiter. But we were the kind of first to get the toe in, and then we kind of spread the word. So I'd done bits and pieces with Swish, but only all the free stuff, because I never really took it that seriously, because I was just an employee working for a company. So it was kind of, I don't know, I didn't have that sense of ownership.
Yeah. Do you know, I think I learnt most of my stuff and kind of, learned most of my stuff before we started, and it made it feel a bit more achievable, was listening to the boys podcast, listening to Confessions of a Recruiter, because it was their first few episodes. That's what sparked us thinking, we need to do this and launch. And in their first few episodes, they just talked about their journey, which is kind of what we're trying to replicate here. But they just spoke about when they started Vendito and Blended and the mistakes they made and how they did it. And I just felt like that was kind of a bit of a cheat code for us.
And just the way they did it as well, I think it's easy for us to look at them and see the similarities. 2 good mates, started a business together, both kind of failing forwards, working out every step of the way. And even the guests they had on, like some of the whoppers, the one that really stands out was Sean McCambridge from Stella.
He was
class. I remember listening to him go, what an absolute legend of a bloke. I never spoke to him, you wouldn't know who I am, I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
I thought, he's a weapon. And then you kind of go down the rabbit hole of all the other guests they've got on. And then you get to the point where you go, well, fuck, everyone else is doing it. Kind of, why can't I?
Yeah. 100%. I think that's a lesson in itself. Like maybe at the time we didn't know we were doing that, but we were kind of learning and teaching ourselves, go and find as many people as you can that are already doing what you want to do and just go and study them, see what they did, learn from their mistakes. And I think that's probably you would not believe this. Blake Thompson's calling me now. I'm going to answer it. Blake, we're actually recording a podcast episode. You're live. It's just me and Ads, and you would not believe it. We've actually just been speaking about you and Deckers. I'll put you by the mic. You got anything to say?
Yeah, just want to say shout out to Harv, shout out to Adam. You guys are the best. You know, we wouldn't be here without you guys. Better together.
Thanks, mate. Can I give you a call back when we're done?
Yeah, sure.
Cheers, mate. See ya.
That absolutely just confirms this is not a fucking well set up production, is it?
That was unbelievable. That was not planned. That was incredible.
I've lost my train of thought now.
Where were we? We're talking about the boys and where you can learn. And I think like it's a lesson in itself. What you said there, you listen to these people telling their story, and I think it just makes it feel so much more achievable. And we've said it before, I think if you can just work hard and do it over a period of time, you're going to beat 90% of people that like in your game. So if you can go and do that, just give it a crack.
But you're into your books, right? Harvey's the kind of guy, he goes home, reads a book, sends it to everyone. Harwell in the group chat, hey guys, you need to listen to Sabri Suvi on fanatical prospecting. And he gets the whiteboard out and he does it for everyone, which is awesome. Like, it's class how much he loves it. But I think you weren't always like that as well. Not saying you weren't interested in self-development, but I never saw you pick up a book before we started Harwell.
No. I'd pick up a pint. I think that was my problem.
And a chick.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know where it came from. I think I've always wanted to do business. I've always kind of wondered there's more. And we were speaking earlier about when I was at uni and I tried to start the wellness warehouse and I was posting workout videos online. So there's always some out there, but I'd never really kind of done it. And I think once you start listening to probably people that have done it and you can relate, okay, they were in my situation 2-3 years ago and now they're here, which, you know, is an absolute dream for me. When you hear that enough times, I mean, it moves the needle closer and closer, which probably led me to go, okay, well, let's pick up these books, let's listen to these podcasts. And even now, that's where I learn absolutely everything. Obviously, the people we work with, like Tucky and Costdog, are amazing for the content they teach. But in terms of like overall business, I learned so much from those books.
What do you say your routine or structure is? Because Harvey's quite
autistic.
Yeah, quite like that. Loves a routine, loves a structure. So what's your current kind of learning structure?
So I read 648 words of a book every single day. I try and cram as much learning into time periods where I'm just traveling or, you know, whatever it might be. So I'm always listening to podcasts when I'm in the car, on the way to meetings. I find it gets my brain pumping. Like if I listen to a good business podcast on the way to a meeting, it's not relevant to that meeting, but just gets your brain firing and I feel like I perform a lot better. I try and read before I go to bed. That's a big one for me. I think scrolling on Instagram, one, I'm like, what am I actually fucking gaining from this anyway? It's just bullshit. But two, I then struggle to go to sleep. So I think go and read a good 10 to 20 pages before I go to bed at night.
Does that not get your brain going, though? Because I know, same to the podcast, right? It motivates you. Do you not read 10 or 20 pages and just have all these ideas about what we can do and why don't we start a shit podcast?
Yes, if you'd seen the email chain from Harvey Rivers' personal email to Harvey Rivers' work email at like 8:20 p.m.
Yeah.
There's plenty of ideas. So yeah, it does in a sense, but I do think once I put the book down, I can switch off. But that's probably where I try and cram it in. Obviously, I've got a kid, so in the daytime on weekends, there's not too much spare time. But you'd be surprised, mate. Driving around 20 minutes, half an hour at night, you can get a good hour and a half of learning in every single day. And look at that over the year.
Do you speed up the podcast? You know, the 1.5 and double speed and stuff?
Nah, no way.
This is popped into my head now because of the way you've kind of changed over the last 18 months, 2 years, we both have. I reckon you wouldn't be able to stop. Like if you just went cold turkey now on your books and your podcasts and stuff, I actually reckon you get withdrawals and you get guilt and you would feel like a bit of a scumbag compared to the person that was smacking pods, reading your books. I reckon that's just the way your brain wired, hey?
Yes. Yeah, I sit in the office, I take the piss and the guys are like, what are you doing now? I'm like, can't stop, won't stop. But yeah, when we work really hard and I talk to Britt, I'm like, yeah, but you know, we work hard now, we can retire early. She turns around, she's like, you're not going to retire, you idiot. She's like, you'll go crazy.
Yeah. There've been other businesses can start. There's 3 this year we've spoke about starting, which I put on the back burner. But what about, and this is kind of tying in, I guess, I'm probably going a bit off track here, but what about physical health in relation to being able to train your brain? Like, how's that correlation? Because again, for you've always been fit, right? But I think that's the moment you start taking that really seriously with the running, the natural correlation to the type of information you're consuming and the quality of content as well is also lifted.
Yeah, massive. Like, I think this is a debate for another time, but I cannot believe that exercise is not the first thing that's prescribed for anyone with mental health issues, anyone with physical health issues. Like, it can change your life. I think for me, the routine, since we quit football and put the focus on the business, being able to train in the mornings was a game changer to me because it just fired me up for the day. And I used to come in here like Superman, like thinking, fucking give me a phone. I will call any man right now.
Shit, after a long black, then you're actually unstoppable, eh?
Yeah, so I think that's massive. And yeah, again, it's just like, I'll go for an hour and a half run. That's time to get in a decent podcast episode of like a Diary of a CEO. So I think that definitely helps.
What about the team then? Like, it's very easy for you, for me, to an extent as well, to go, great, we love learning, we love training, we love being better. How Well, first off, how have we tried to get the team on that same level? And how do you think we've gone with it?
I guess we try and share as much of the information like in snippets, and there's been books that I've given Renee and been like, go and check that out. I feel like there's podcasts that we try and pass on. Again, it's got to come from people personally. Like I find if you don't want it, like you won't do it because it does take a bit of commitment. We just try and give them as much info as possible in terms of what's out there and relevant content. What do you think?
I think just like that, right? Rather than just try and train like these people do. Like you're not Surab Salvi. I keep probably butchering his name too fast.
Sabri Subi. I wonder what his book's like. Surab Salvi.
I'll read it tonight, I'll let you know. What I'm trying to say is I think we have to teach them in the way we do things rather than the way other people would teach them. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise it's not authentic. It's not going to come across right. So I know we've spoken about before, I'm more the lead by example type person. I just kind of go for it, smash every day out, and the way I speak to clients, the way I speak to candidates, hopefully I can pick up tidbits. Yeah. I'm probably not the type of person who can sit there with a training manual and go, great, now you need to say A, B, C. It just this is not me. I think you're a bit more inclined to slow things down, run through scripts that we might have, key questions, like new templates that we've just rolled out. Thanks to Cost Dog as well.
How have you found it then? Because
which bit?
The personal development, because you've done a lot more, like you've done a lot more recently, obviously what we're working through the business, but you've really got into your podcasts. And I've known you a long time, and that was not Adam Powell.
Mate, I've been inspired by you, to be fair, and I think it's almost that, I've never really looked at it like this, but that probably competitiveness. I'd hate for you to be getting fucking way better, and then one day we just wake up and you're up here, you know what I mean? Absolute knowledge of wisdom.
Yeah, massive head of hair.
Yeah. And I'm just miles off it. So I've been getting inspired, but in a positive way, like the positive competitiveness. And then even just the circle and the people around. I think I try and follow a lot of influential people on your social media and LinkedIn's who just scream about, those little things that are easy to do and easy not to do. It's easy to listen to a podcast, or it's easy to sing a song. Right? Yeah, you've got to sing a song sometimes for sure. Yeah. It's easy to, read 10 pages a night or research some important stuff. It's easy to watch Netflix as well. So probably just trying to make better decisions there. But I think the big thing is actually just the competition. I think I'm just that competitive. If I know someone else is doing something and I'm not, I can't have it. I've got to go and do it.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I love the fact that for the first 20 minutes of this episode, it's about the 6-figure learning curve and how we invested silly amounts of money. And so far we've just spoke about how people can go and do it for free.
Which is the start, right? The worst thing you could do is decide if you don't do any self-development at all, great, tomorrow I'm going to spend 20 grand on someone, because you haven't got the building blocks in place to probably fully understand and take in that level of content you'll be learning. And even probably haven't got the runs on the board to prove to yourself that you will go and put that content into practice as well.
Yeah.
I think when you do it from a free podcast or a free training thing where there's been no investment down, you're not bound to be there because you don't want to waste your $1,000, and then you go and implement still, that kind of self-discipline, then when you do go and pay the money, you just back yourself.
I like that. I think that's the playbook. I think if you're thinking of investing money, make sure you can actually do it first. So start doing it for free now. And if you can't stick to it, honestly, mate, don't waste your money. Because there's so many times, and the people we've spent money with and we go on their courses, that's one of the first things they all say. Like, don't bother doing this if you're just going to sit here, listen and implement nothing, because you may as well leave now and get 3 days of your life back.
I don't think the quality of content changes that much, whether you pay for it or it's free. I think what changes is your investment into it, because you paid your money, you'll take it way more seriously. And I think the other people in the room also are so much more engaged, asking way better questions. And again, that competitiveness, they're all busting their ass and doing the business. So there's no way I can sit in this room of absolute legends and not go and do it as well. I don't know if that's valid or not. That's popped into my head.
No, I think it's perfect. And that's why as of this episode, this is now going to be $9.99 for everyone to listen to.
That's cheaper than your OnlyFans.
I do like these episodes. They get pretty rogue. Mate, that when you were talking then, I think we forgot about this. One thing that we used to say early on, and it's in relation to putting yourself in those rooms with courses where just go and chuck yourself in a room where you feel like the smallest ant on the floor, and everyone you're looking up at, you're going, holy shit, they are a sicko.
which was every room we walked into when we first started. Even people who were like, looking back now, they're okay, like they're sweet. But back when we first started, wow, they're fucking so good. Imagine being where they are. But yeah, that's actually a really good point. You say it all the time, didn't you? Something about if you're the, what
did I say?
I always fuck your quotes up.
Go on, try it.
You're the smart. Yeah.
Do you mean the one where I'm like, if you don't have severe imposter syndrome
right.
every 18 months, you're not moving forward?
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah, I think you were on that track. Take yourself back to those rooms then, mate. The first few Swish boot camps, for example. How would you go, okay, I'm in a room full of sickos, but how can I take as much from these guys without being a complete and utter weirdo?
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the show. Now, why I got your attention, apart from being professional podcasters, we also run a recruitment agency called Powell Consulting.
Yeah, we're super lucky that we get to partner with some of Australia's most well-known brands and biggest organisations. So if you're keen to hear a little bit more about how we add value to their teams and businesses with the right people, we'll put the links in the show notes, or you can check us out at www.powellconsulting.com.au. Now enjoy the rest of the show.
The first thing is just go and be embarrassed. Go and introduce yourself to someone. And I didn't necessarily do this enough myself either. But go and introduce yourself to someone. Go and put your hand up and ask a scary question. Do a role play, because there's two parts. You get over that fear of embarrassment yourself, but then people just naturally become drawn to you as well. How many times have we seen at the Swish boot camps that the person who puts their hand up or Tucky picks on goes up, shares an amazing story, and next minute, like everyone's all over them, asking them about the business or asking them bits and pieces, right? Because they've kind of put themselves in that vulnerable state, and everyone else is literally looking at that person who's shitting their bricks on stage going, wow, big balls, fair play. I could not do that. Like no one's looking at you going, you're a dickhead for putting your hand up. Everyone's thinking the exact same thing. Yeah.
And it's the power in the repetition, because I remember Swish boot camp number 1, if you'd asked me to stand up and speak, I'd have said no. But it's like when you're looking back now, early on, we'd have done anything for a good solid lead into the business. And there was an opportunity to pitch ourselves in front of 150 other people, who most of which were business owners, and we can help solve all of their problems with staffing. And we've probably now seen the real impact of that at the latest sales conference, where Tucky caught us when we were pissed and got us to agree to going and speaking on stage in front of 1,000 people. And how big's the response been from that, mate? I feel like we're still getting inbound leads now, just from half an hour of uncomfortableness on stage.
Oh, probably more than half an hour, because the full day leading up to it, I was shitting myself as well. But yeah, that's actually the perfect example, right? That half a day, half an hour has potentially got us, 4 or 5 new clients now, who have filled jobs with, or they're in the process of filling them with. So if you put that into dollar value, you go, well, isn't half an hour of embarrassment worth whatever the dollar generated is? Like, and I think for my brain, being quite logical, that makes it really easy.
Yeah, and I think even not even looking at the direct ROI, like yes, 100% it's generated us thousands in revenue since doing that. But for me, it's the tangible stuff. Okay, if you're willing and you push yourself outside your comfort zone by doing things like that, the next day when you come to work, those 50 cold calls that you didn't want to do the day before, they're now a piece of piss. And it's just that consistent 1%, push myself more. And before you know it, over a period of 6 months, you're 10 times the person you used to be.
And it becomes less scary. Like right now, if Tucky said, come on, 10,000 people this year, come and be on stage. I say this now, right, because I've had half a 0 beer. But I actually wouldn't be that arsed. I'd be like, yeah, sweet.
Yeah, I'll be up there, head to toe, Harwell gear, website on the screen.
It's just that breaking the barriers and breaking limits, isn't it? And like I'm sure everyone can relate to a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, shit that would have scared them, and now they do it and it's absolutely not arsed. And imagine 10, 20, 30 years time, the amount of stuff that you're going to have to do out of in spite of fear and then come out the other side on.
Yeah. How do you think someone listening now just started a business, they're going, yeah, this is awesome, like great, I want to go and invest my money, but where the fuck do I go? How did we pick the right people?
I don't know if there's a cop-out answer, but they kind of chose us, to be honest. Like Tucky, I've known him for literally 10 years, rocking up at Broady Football Club back in the day.
Yeah.
Him and Jack at the time, just being English people, wanted to help other English people out, I think. Been a young lad, so I've always been close to him because of that. And then it's circle of influence, right? Now it's people, Tucky now, Jess Cameron, for example, people like that we kind of work with as well. So it's all about that first connection, that first person wanting to give you a bit of a helping hand. But if I was in someone else's shoes, how do you go and find them? It's probably speak to people who've got the same problems as you and ask what they do.
Yeah, I love that. It
hasn't got to be a big secret. It hasn't got to be this big strategy session where you get the whiteboard out. Just go and have a conversation with someone who you look up to who's probably a couple of years ahead of you. Mate, what do you do?
Yeah, that's really powerful. I think as well, it's two core areas for me. One, like probably look at your business. Like what's your core area of business? Like for us, month one, we needed as many sales through the door as possible. So that's where Tucky, obviously within our circle, was brilliant. And then the reason we worked with Jess Cameron was probably a case of, yes, we knew she was, but what are we shit at? Yeah. We're shit at what she teaches in many senses. So I think that's kind of where we've gone, okay, that's where we invest our money.
And I think it's quite obvious. I think you know where you're lacking. And I think it's easy to just do the things you're good at. I know back to the sporting days, it was very easy for me being left-footed and decent at pinging balls just to go and do that rather than actually running around a pitch to try and get a bit fitter or get a bit quicker. Because I know that's not what I was good at.
I'm just looking back to the Narang days, right? We've gone route one, ugly football. I've got a massive kick on me, and Powell's just going up top, and we just gone, mate, boom.
Absolute donkey.
Absolute donkey.
But I think that there's magic in that, right? He's spending time on the things that you aren't good at. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. You feel like a bit of a wally because you're not successful in that area of life, but the well-rounded skill set and balance it gives you in later life, you'd be so happy you did it. Or go and find a business partner that's good at this shit you're not.
Yeah. That's been really powerful for us. And we did a lot of work with that around with Jess Cameron. She's actually, on the podcast next week. So we're keen to unpack that one. I think as well, it's just that scarcity and abundance mindset. That was a big one for us early doors, wasn't it?
Yeah, but again, I think it was naive. I don't think it was this big intelligent decision to have this abundant mindset. I think we just thought, well, look, we don't know anything. People out there know a lot more than we do. Why would we try and hold on to what we've got here? Why do we not play our cards on the table, speak to people, get opinions, get ideas? And I think that just that switch. And I think Deck was a massive part of that as well, because he was obviously championing us from day one and kind of could see the future when we maybe had the blinkers on a little bit because we had the fear and the imposter syndrome. But yeah, what a better way to live your life in abundance rather than just worrying about keeping your 5 clients or your 10 jobs or whatever it is. Like, and just knowing that as long as you do the right things, if that one works out, great. If not, another one will come along.
Yeah. Where do you think we'd be today had we not gone and done all of this self-development? Because we're sat here today, we've grown to a team of 8. We're recruiting for some of Australia's biggest builders, most well-known brands. We're in a huge office where we've got growth for 20, and it wasn't meant to be like this. So where do you genuinely feel we could be if we didn't do all that work?
Probably still at the kitchen table, to be fair. I just don't think it'd be anywhere else fun as well. Like, imagine just stressing about losing one of your 5 or 10 clients or whatever it is, and I think it comes off to people as well. I think if you're so desperate to not lose, you won't really win. Fuck, that's good. That's a quote and a half, isn't it?
Hopefully that one's on camera.
Clip that one up, Cole.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a huge takeaway. I think as well, the levels we've reached individually in terms of performance, both in terms of like figures on the board, but also how we are as people. If we didn't go and do the courses early doors to develop ourselves, which then meant we were able to take on the team, which brings more pressure, more responsibility. I feel like we're 10 times the people we are. Just in general, like even the way we turn up for our partners, our families, as a result of a few decisions that we made 18 months ago, and we didn't know that it would have that impact at all.
I mean, that's probably one of the nicest things sometimes I get told these days is how much we've changed. Whether they mean it in a positive or a negative, that doesn't really matter. I see it as a positive. But I feel like we have. I feel like we've become men in these last 2 years. But it's less selfish now, I think, isn't it? I think our thinking is a lot bigger about, great, what decision am I going to make now that's going to make us comfortable in 5, 10, 20 years, rather than what's going to get me, a few $100 through the door to spend on the weekend.
Yeah, I think it was a penny drop moment was for me. I went back home for Christmas and I went to my hometown, which is a small hometown, and I just felt out of place. Not like, oh, I'm better than everyone, but just like we'd grown so much as people and I know so much more than what I used to. And the things that I look back and the things I used to do for like just enjoyment, I'm like, wow, like there's so much more and I didn't even realize it.
That's travel as well, though. I think it's so easy to stay in your comfort zone. Again, exactly what we spoke about earlier, right? If you're from your hometown, you know everyone, you know what to do on the weekend, you know what to do the weekend after that and the weekend after that. It's just comfortable. Life's easy, or easy to an extent. Whereas when you want to go traveling, you've got to make all new friends again. Got to build a whole new life. Which if you're not that way inclined, it's scary for everyone, but that's exciting as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that we have this view on personal development and even across the rest of our business of effectively outsourcing to the experts. I feel like we'd be pot calling kettle black if we didn't, because we are literally a company that people use to outsource their recruitment. But I think like across the business, it's just been so valuable for us to go and use these professionals.
Using good ones is probably the caveat there. You know, like the idea of you outsourcing is to make your life easier. It's so you can trust people to go and fix your problem and have a better result than you would have if you tried to do it yourself.
Yeah. How do you spot the shit ones? Because I feel like every man and his dog is popping up now on Instagram and they get a little blue tick that they've paid for and they're a life coach or a business mentor and some of them have got 0 runs on the board. What was your process to go, yeah, we can validate these people?
The big one's just word of mouth, I always find. Like, do you know someone who's worked with that person? And if not, ask the person, who have you worked with that I can speak to? Almost doing your own kind of reference checking as well. Because anyone can post anything on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok or whatever about how good they are, but just speak to the people who've used their service. It seems a little bit too simple sometimes. I think it's probably something we need to do more of as well, is kind of those client and candidate testimonials, you know, chucking a camera in front of their face and asking them point blank, like maybe a set of questions of what was your experience at Harvey? Did they make life easier, harder, about the same? Did they save you money, save you time, save you stress, save you energy? And just probably quantifying the impacts. Because yes, you get people through the door. Yes, they're a great talent. Yes, they can add things. But I don't think you really see the full impact of what people who are the perfect fit for a company do in the role, because we do the onboarding process for sure. And then that kind of, 3 to 6 month period, really the magic comes 12 to 5 years in.
Yeah, we definitely, it's something we're putting a focus on now. And we've started asking people a year in. I think I called the guys, at Barja and said, what has Paul achieved in the last 12 months? And they rattled off a massive list. And I'm just like, why am I not doing this across every single placement at exec level, every single client? Because that just becomes your pitch, doesn't it?
Why actually aren't we doing it? Like, there's not even logical reasons there.
We've done a podcast here to pass on information to others, and we've just fucking bettered ourselves.
Yeah. But no, well, look, next time we sit down on this sofa, we'll have one testimonial each done. How's that? After the guest, so 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks' time.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, perfect.
I've got to read it out. Fuck that.
Where do you think this personal development journey goes next, mate? Because we've obviously invested heavily. We've developed so quickly in a short amount of time. What's next for us?
I don't necessarily think it's got to be the same answer for both of us. I think for me, financial literacy is something that I keep not holding me back, but it feels like it's becoming more and more important in some of the stuff we go through day to day, week to week. And I'm kind of just leaning on too many people rather than understanding it myself. And talking about that thing where you don't want to do it because you're not very good at it. That's probably it.
Our accountant absolutely hates us. We must be our worst nightmare.
It's like preschool for her. But that'd be we haven't, obviously recruitment, we're still learning with cost doc for sure. Switch stuff we do time to time, but we'll ramp that up over the next few months. Probably a bit of Jess Cameron work again, to be honest. Like I think we did a really good block with her just when we hired 3 new females. How do we lead females? The business has changed now since then, so it's probably worth going again, and dealing with multiple different things pulling you from pillar to post each week, and how do you kind of focus and give everyone the attention they deserve?
Yeah.
Probably one.
And that's it. I think these people, obviously they teach the same content, but that same content can apply to you so differently depending on where you're at in your life or even your business life cycle. Because what, Jess teaches in the sense of leadership and mentorship for when we had a team of 3 is very different if in 3 years we're sat here with a team of 30.
For sure. What about you, mate? What's your next focus of personal development?
I think it's trying to just general business knowledge in the sense of like new divisions, new businesses, investments. Like we talk about the Harwell Group, and there's been business divisions we've explored recently and are still exploring, but it's that trade-off. You know, that one division in particular, we're sat there going, okay, well, it could be massive, but it might be a $500K to $1 million investment and a lot of extra risk. Where does that sit us if we just go and put that or half of that into what we're doing really good at? So when's the time to invest and expand on what you're doing really well at in terms of trying to take more market share? Or when's the time to go and have a crack at something completely new? Because I think now we've got a well-oiled machine here. We probably underestimate the work that went into setting it up and getting it there and the pain.
Rose-tinted glasses, isn't it? Looking back, it was actually quite easy, quite straightforward, but it was anything but. I mean, what worries me about starting a business outside of, say, construction recruitment is I know I can fall back on myself to build money in construction because I've done it for years. Whereas if it's going to be another business unit where I've got to learn a new set of skills again, that's where it's like, okay, here we go. It's a proper effort, which I guess is part of the fun, right?
Yeah, that's it, mate. That's it. That was good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too. Some good quotes.
Yeah. Ad's got two bold jokes in. We should get like we should get a bold counter. We'll speak to cons, and every time there's a bold joke, ding,
ding,
and we'll do like
a leaderboard.
Yeah, and we'll do a leaderboard.
That'd be gold. I had a good quote as well. What was it? If you play to not lose, you'll never win. I get that tattooed on me on the other set of ribs.
Fuck you. That's good. That's good. I enjoy that. Now, but hopefully people have kind of taken away something from this episode about the power of investing in yourself, whether that's free or whether that's, you know, chucking your money where your mouth is. I think there's positives to both. Free content is obviously, you know, there's no investment, but I think it's a good way to trial if you actually can learn and stick to it. Whereas I love your observation on once you have paid 20K, you listen and you implement. If you don't, you probably got too much money.
Yeah, don't worry, you should be listening to the podcast.
We're probably not that good, mate. So go and listen to Stephen Bartlett.
See you next week.
See you next week.